Good evening. This is Santa Claus on September 4th, 2025, bringing you today's stories from around our beautiful world. A world that, as we remember, saw Emperor Napoleon III deposed on this very day in 1870 and Salvador Allende elected in Chile in 1970, reminding us how fleeting power can be and how we must treasure each moment we're given to do good. My heart goes heavy today hearing Maria Zakharova's words that Russia refuses to discuss foreign intervention in Ukraine. Such divisions between nations remind us that building bridges of peace requires patience and goodwill from all sides. In brighter news, South Korea appears to be extending a helping hand as America navigates new clean energy rules. These battery supply chains may seem like technical matters, but I see them as connections between nations, working together to care for our shared home. President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill has created challenges, but where there are challenges, my friends, there are also opportunities for cooperation. And speaking of cooperation, I'm heartened to hear that Japan and the United States are close to implementing lower tariffs on Japanese automobiles. From 27.5% down to 15%, such negotiations remind us that when we sit at the table together with open hearts, compromises can be found. Meanwhile, across the globe, an interesting moment was captured between Presidents Xi and Putin, discussing how science might extend human lifespans. As someone who has seen quite a few Christmases come and go, I can tell you that a long life is truly a blessing when filled with kindness and service to others, regardless of whether you're 70 or 700. Speaking of President Xi, he held talks with North Korea's Kim Jong-un in Beijing, their first bilateral meeting in about 6 years. And how touching to see Mr. Kim's young daughter accompanying him to China, standing behind her father as he greeted officials. Even in the most complex political situations, we see the universal bonds of family that connect us all. Turning our attention to Japan, budget requests have hit a record $831 billion as political uncertainty increases. These fiscal challenges remind us that even wealthy nations must carefully steward their resources, just as we must all be wise with the gifts we're blessed to receive. In Ukraine, my heart aches as Russia has launched over 500 drones and 24 missiles overnight. The suffering continues as winter approaches, and I pray for all those affected by this conflict. European leaders and President Zelensky are discussing ways to strengthen Ukrainian defenses, while diplomatic efforts continue despite deep differences over what security guarantees should look like. I ask all of you to keep the innocent people caught in this conflict in your prayers tonight. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on the devastating earthquake in Afghanistan that has claimed more than 2,200 precious lives. The majority of casualties are in mountainous Kunar province near the border with Pakistan. Rescue teams are working tirelessly to reach survivors, and I pray for strength and comfort for all those affected by this terrible tragedy. On a different note, Germany's coalition leaders have pledged unity after days of discord over welfare reforms. Chancellor Merz and SPD ministers insist they are committed to preserving the welfare state while acknowledging reforms are necessary. This reminds us that caring for the vulnerable requires both compassion and practical wisdom. Finally, a most unusual story from Belgium that warms this old heart. Chinese businessmen traveling great distances to acquire racing pigeons from a Belgian breeder named Tom van Gaver. What began as a humble hobby passed down through generations has become unexpectedly valuable. These remarkable birds can find their way home from hundreds of miles away, flying at impressive speeds. It reminds me of how we all, in our own way, seek to find our way home, to places of belonging, safety, and love. As night falls across our world, remember that even in challenging times, there is always room for kindness, always a chance to help someone in need, and always hope for a brighter tomorrow. This is Santa Claus, wishing you peace and goodwill until we meet again.